We're now going to talk about using what you've found out to make a story, oral or written, does either or. The oral storytelling tradition, as we all know, is an ancient Irish custom that still carries on, and it's very important. But if you want to, you can write it down. You don't have to be brilliant at writing. There's many apps on phones now that you can actually talk into, and it'll go to text, or you can get some help in your family to dictate it to someone. Or you could video it, which would be lovely. And we'd love if you could send in whatever you do at the end of this to us, and we'll put it in the gallery. So how do you go about using the inspiration from finding out the meaning of your townland name and checking out the interesting features in your area? Were there ring forts, ruins, woods? What's your sense of place from it? Are there any inspiring tales? Did you find any on Dukas that might inspire stories for yourself? So they're kind of questions you could think about first. The writing the story, there's many workshops on this and recommendations on how to write. And well, the first thing I would do is get a nice notebook and a lovely pen and bring it with you everywhere. And if you can't bring it with you everywhere, have it near hand so you can jot down things when you get home, because you get inspiration from everywhere. You can even use your phone actually just to voice record something you've just thought of, or put in a note. Another thing I would do is doodle. Doodling is great for getting those thoughts down onto paper in an abstract way that can then maybe change into a story. Think about characters. Were there any really interesting local characters in your area in the past, or did they come up in the stories when you found that ring fort or went to that woods? Does anybody know an interesting character you could use as a basis? Obviously, all stories have a beginning, middle and end, so just to remember that it has to go somewhere. Not necessarily start thinking about that. I would maybe let it flow first and let your pen just do the writing or your voice do the talking and see where it takes you, and then go back and read it again and then see where it goes to and what the journey is in it. Descriptions and dialogue are very important too. Describe where you are, describe the scenery, the smell, the touch, the colours, the feeling. And dialogue can be very interesting and funny. So there are a little bit of things that you can use. Have a little bit of mystery maybe, so that you're not quite sure where the story is taking you and something strange happens at the end of it. So I would say that, let it flow. Let it flow and write it down or talk it out, and then afterwards go back. It's always important to edit, because you may say it again and you may have repeated "and" a few times, like I've done here. But it just makes it cleaner for you and interesting. So reading it out loud, that's a good way to do the editing, because then you'll see what needs to be changed, if there is anything to be changed. Just have a go at it. Use what you've got in the study of place, study of your area, study of stories of your area. Was there any legend? And see where that takes you. So I've included 2 stories in this that were inspired by the place name and by the stories of this area and the landscape, just to show you how it is. And one of them is Derrymore, and it was the name Derrymore fascinated me because it's in a bog, and Like, obviously there was a forest sometime, but it's not like that at all now. And I just started thinking about what it could have been like a long time ago. And again, I incorporated other legends that we had heard and rumours of things. And of course, it's all fictional, what I've written, but it just was based on the townland name, is how it started, and exploring that. I also doodled and imagined what it might have looked like. So that's how I got to that story. The other one then that I'm including is called Mida of Tuha, and that was for a project for Longford Writers Group. That was another good way of learning how to write and to get more confident with your writing. When you do it in a group and you talk to each other and give constructive criticism and encouragement, you get better at it, and you learn from each other. And it's a great idea to join a group or to start a group. And then you might do projects. So that one, Mida of Tuha, is actually in a collection of stories that we did, homemade, which we said actually in our shop. And the other stories are wonderful, so I would recommend buying it. And that idea came from the idea that we wanted home as the theme. And I then took it further with the idea of Cronogues, which was because I had spent some time in a Cronogue and it fascinated me, and I wanted to explore that more. And of course, being under the hill of Brilé, I couldn't help but bring that legend into it too. So maybe when you listen to them, you'll see where I was coming from, where I got the inspiration from. It was my sense of place. It was the meaning of the townlands. It was the interesting features I've seen in the area and our history, and some tales from around the area. So maybe that could help you too. So just to go back on it, get a notebook and a lovely pen. Doodle. Think a lot. Dream a lot. A lot of the time my stories are nearly created in my head long before they get to the paper, and I'm just letting it flow out then. Characters. Think about people around your area. Make sure it has the journey is interesting in the story. Beginning, middle, end. Have descriptions. Nature descriptions are wonderful to put you in your place, to make the reader feel they're in the place. And dialogue is funny and good and can be a good way of showing the area, and a bit of mystery. So have a go at it, see how you get on, and send us in what you've done. We'd love to share it in our gallery.